Number 41. A student who is 63 inches tall wants to find the height of a flagpole. He places a mirror between himself and the pole and creates the diagram below. Using his sketch, find the height of the flagpole. Now we learned in class that when we do this particular procedure, we end up with two triangles that are similar. And the reason we know that is because the flagpole is built straight up from the ground, that's a right angle. And where the student is standing, he's standing straight up, and that creates a right angle. And remember, class, we talked about how when light enters a mirror and bounces off the mirror, the angle of entry is equal to the angle of exit. So these two angles are also congruent. Because we have two angles of two triangles are congruent, we can say also two pairs of angles between two triangles are congruent. Therefore, those two triangles are similar by the AA similarity postulate. And because these two triangles are similar, we know their sides are proportional. So we can set up a proportion and solve for this unknown value, which I'll just label as the variable x. Now the hardest part of this problem is matching up corresponding sides, because we've taught you in class how to match up big to big, small to small, and medium to medium. But you don't know which side is the biggest side of this triangle. Well, actually you do. The biggest side is the hypotenuse. But we don't know what the angle measure it is, so there's nothing to, the side length of it is, so we can't circle anything. What we did in class was to recognize that this smaller triangle is just a reflection of the bigger one. That means the two bottom sides actually correspond, and the two legs, the vertical legs, actually correspond. So because of, and if we had to label the hypotenuse, those would also correspond, but we don't need those for our solution. So now all we have to do, now that we matched up corresponding sides, is to write a proportion. Let's put the bottom of the triangle in our first ratio. That would be 136 over 20. 136 came from the big triangle. 20 came from the corresponding side on the small triangle. Now, one thing you have to follow, class, is if the top of this ratio is a measurement that came from the big triangle, then the next ratio also has to have the side length from the big triangle, which in this case is x. And the corresponding side on the small triangle is 63. And now we can solve this just by solving the proportion. Cross multiply. We end up with 136 times 63 is equal to 20x. Take out your calculator. 136 times 63 is 8,568, which is equal to 20x. Now we have to get x by itself to solve for x, so we divide both sides by 20. And we end up with x is equal to 8,568 divided by 20 is approximately 428.4. Everything on our diagram is in inches, so our unit of measure is inches. So the flagpole height is approximately 428.4 inches.